This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
There are times in everyone's life that stress, worry, and wanting answers but not knowing where or how to find them can become overwhelming. People are trying to find themselves, make better choices, and expand their future possibilities. The struggle of living in this time of intensity and transition is why people seek the truth that SoulUnion offers. As a medical intuitive, Darlene Van de Grift guides people to discover their blockages, clear them, and develop steps with tools towards a more rewarding life. SoulUnion cares for the mind, body, and spirit in a co-creative discovery in finding the root cause, the factors involved, and the direction forward in any given question or concern that may be causing stress. Weaving new insights or understanding about health, relationships, career, or spirituality can shift one's consciousness, expand thought processes, change behaviors, motivate new choices, and can impact your DNA. You are not stuck, wrong, or incapable. You may only be a little lost. Find out the truth of who you are and take the steps towards clarity, order, and direction to become more than you know. Valeria interviews Darlene Van de Grift. She is the author of Earthbound, The Genesis of the Great Experiment. Darlene Van de Grift is a highly respected medical intuitive and multidimensional mediator, timeline architect, medium, artist, and author, with over 35 years of experience. She dedicated her career to helping people tap into their innate wisdom and spiritual guidance to explore and heal their multidimensional selves. Darlene's thirst for knowledge has shaped her educational background across different subjects, including applied kinesiology, one brain, Swedish and therapeutic massage, anatomy and physiology, matrix energetics, touch for health, intention muscle balancing, nutritional counseling, reconnection work, herbal and homeopathic medicine, and the energy arts. Darlene also channels the Evolves through a distinctive interactive monthly Zoom called The Cosmic Travelers. Within the sacred white space of neutrality, healing takes place on both a personal and worldwide scale. Her podcast, Expansion from Within, exploring multidimensionality, and her website, SoulUnion.com, are notable platforms. Her debut book, Earthbound, The Genesis of the Great Experiment, delves into her long life adventures with multidimensional beings, ancient timelines, and the evolution of Earth and humanity, and offers spiritual teachings and tools for her readers. This book is a 5-part series titled Multidimensional Chronicles. The first book set to be released by Pegasus Publishing in 2025. Darlene assures us that you know more than you know. Meet Darlene at SoulUnion.com. Here's the interview with Darlene Van de Grift.
In your own words, who is Darlene Van de Grift?
Well, we all have labels, right? Mothers, daughters. I see myself as a multidimensional traveler, and I don't like the word healer, but I would say that I have some properties around being a healer with people, or people see me that way.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy life and loving people and who I am is just trying to make a difference in the world.
Wow. You said a lot there, and I have way too many questions already, even before we begin the conversation. So, multidimensional traveler, that's an interesting concept to the mind, really, to the rational mind. But what really caught my attention was the healer part of it. So, what is about healer or healing that doesn't resonate somehow with you?
Because it puts a label on, as I view it, it puts a label that I am doing something to them to improve their life. And it's really, it's up to them. It's their innate wisdom that is bringing issues forward to be healed. I'm more of the facilitator or the navigator or the mediator, but I don't see that I do anything to them in that healing capacity. It's more about what can they receive and what do they do with what's being given.
Wow, that's a big one. Receiving. Yes. Would you say that that's the reason we see so many cases, quote unquote, of unhealed people in this reality in the world? They are not willing to receive. Is that one of the reasons, Darlene?
I think it's a major issue with people. The world can be a very fearful place. And so receiving in some way is allowing yourself to be open enough to be given to. And it's hard. It's hard. It's easier for people, I think maybe even more so women, to give and to put their energy out there, but to get a compliment back or, a possible anything coming from someone else can be difficult. I had clients for years that would say in their leaving, well, I love you, and give me a hug. And all I could say back was, yeah, you too. Because it was difficult to receive that.
Yes. And that's because of fear, the underlying,
it's what's expected. It's the fear of the unknown at what might be expected if somebody gives you something. How were you raised as a child? Maybe it's always about giving to someone as opposed to how to receive, how to be gracious in receiving as well, how to feel it, how to feel when somebody cares about you and allow it in.
Yes. Wow, that resonates true. Yes, from my own experience too, of course. And is that something that, we've been conditioned by society, by our parents. Yes, that's clear to me in my case. So what is the goal? Is there a destination when it comes to this concept of receiving? Like, how do we know when we are ready to receive or we are allowing that whatever is given to us to just flow into our being? What are the signs?
I think you feel it. I think you allow yourself to feel it because we protect our bodies a lot around the energy environment and all of that. And sometimes we just walk around as if, oh yeah, we're open when we're not. And so feeling it, it's not about also being like an emotional basket case either. It's just about, it's just about being in the presence of someone gifting you, whether it's a compliment or they hand you something or just a look. How can you receive that without judgment and, making something up about what that look meant based on our own woundedness, right? So it's that receiving in a neutral place to just feel it in your body and say thank you or be grateful.
Yes, that's very clear to me. Yeah, that's a beautiful guide for all of us as a reminder too, because it seems like we tend to forget. Would you say that this is a practice? That receiving is a practice, or it's something that we learn how to do it and then we just apply it whenever we need it or want to?
Well, receiving, if you think of ourselves as, as a vessel, people could be sending us, and if we are very full of past perceptions and very full of, like I deal with the multidimensional, so we're dealing with past lives, we're dealing with anything, whether we know it or we don't know it, right?
Yeah.
It's if we're very full of something that doesn't serve us anymore, receiving becomes harder.
Yes.
So when you let go of certain things in your lifetime, perceptions about yourself, align yourself with a better future of who you are and how you can perceive yourself to be, then it becomes a little easier to receive because you're more stable within yourself. You're not carrying anything that could deflect or hinder receiving.
Yes, yeah, that also resonates. I love concepts, and I know they are not abstract concepts. To me, it's very real, and a lot of the people who listen to these episodes. So, I guess the question that came to me was, um, oh, it just came and went because I had another one in mind too. It's in front of me. I love the name of your website. So SoulUnion.com. SoulUnion. So this is another concept that has become, it's almost has been a calling for me to explore more because my main interest has been, for some reason, freedom, the idea that we are already free spiritually, that we are already what we are looking for. So home is already here, always in the present moment. So that's my practice of realigning body, mind to be here. And maybe that's why I was not really interested in doing past life regressions or hypnotherapy, because I just kind of left the past there, and I didn't want to bring in because my main practices has to do with being here. So, but just recently, it has been, I would say, a calling to explore, investigate more the concept, the idea of the soul. So that's we are meeting for a reason. It's very recent, and that's because I have been kind of creating there's something that I want to manifest, per se, in this reality, a sacred retreat place. And I've tried since 2015. That vision came to me, and then it has never realized. But now the calling has become much stronger. So, and then that came up, the soul, that I need to be more in touch with the soul. So I'd love to hear from you. What is the soul, and what is the soul's purpose? Is that something that we all have? Isn't the soul one thing? All souls are connected. So yeah, I have too many questions about that, but we can start there.
Okay, so my understanding and how I work is, like you said, there's one soul. So there is a unification of the consciousness of a soul, right? But then we've been split off of that. We've been split off of source so that we are individualized of what our missions are, how we want to experience life, in what form, and are there lessons and are there missions? And they're not all the same because we're evolving at various different rates and what we want to achieve. But I think the final goal is to come back to that wholeness where we are living in equality, where we feel it's mostly how we feel within ourselves. It's who we are as individuals. Can you accept and allow others? Do you have to be in conflict and judgment? Can you find some sort of neutrality in yourself, in your body, in your wisdom of who you are? So I believe it's similar for everyone, is to kind of reach that goal. Some people say, oh, it's enlightenment, or, we're all waking up, or there's all different terms for it. But the bottom line, I think, is the real security and sovereignty that we can have individually within ourselves, so that when the souls come together, whether that's with 2, 3, 5, 10, a group of people, a culture, that we can get along well together. We can understand each other deeper, and we can accept the differences, because there's always going to be differences.
Right. So so there's the soul union. So this oneness around the soul. It's all about really recognizing that in one another as individualized consciousness. I would say the way you're using language is just so interesting to find language for these things. But I love when somebody like you and so many people that I talk here, they're so clear. It's very clear the way you express these ideas. So yes, that makes so much sense to me. I often try to make it very simple. And one of the things that it's my guiding principle, it's love. So it feels to me like the soul is being guided by love. It lives in love. That's what it's all about. And it really feels that way. Is that something that, does it come, is that what it is really, Darlene? Love?
Well, it's the energy of love, right? Which
Right.
is basically everything. When you can look at the trees and you can look at nature and you can look at the other person and you can look at your neighbor that you don't particularly care for, and you can love something about them, or you can see the love in them. I think it is really valuable. But again, going back to where did our perceptions come from? How do we feel about ourselves? Because there's so much out there. Unless you love yourself, you can't love anyone else. And that's true.
Right.
You have to find that peace within yourself to accept who you are and allow who you are. At the same time, while you're changing, maybe some of the things you want to change.
Right. And this is when you come in as a not a healer, but a helper. I love that. So you're a medical intuitive, a multidimensional mediator, timeline architect, medium, an artist too, and an author. Oh yes, you're writing a book right now. You already have that's coming up next year. Earthbound, the genesis of the great experiment. Talk to me about this book for a moment.
So there's 5. It's a series. And this first book, it's really multidimensional memoirs because it takes the journey of the first time that I recognized that there was a past life of mine. And it's the multidimensional parts of myself, as well as what's happening in ancient history, as well as this timeline that we're living in. And it's chock full of spiritual gifts and spiritual tools for the reader to look at and go within themselves so that they can learn more about themselves and hopefully grow.
Yes, it's very inspiring. But the energetic resonance of it, just reading the word, and I get this very beautiful feeling from it. So thank you for doing that. I know it's a series, right? I have it here too. So it's a 5-part series. It's called, the Multidimensional Chronicles. So another question for the initial questions about how did you uncover these gifts, even the experience of one of your past lives? I would love to hear more about that because I know we do have these glimpses of something that we don't know what it is. Most of us, a lot of people, and they are actually not comfortable talking about these things because they feel like it's not rational, it won't be accepted within their family or society. So how did you become who you are today? And how did that start? Was it one moment in time, or was that a journey that it's still unfolding? I would love to know more.
It is a journey, and I think we're all on our journey until we take our last breath here, and then we go wherever we're going. But for me, the journey never felt like a journey. I've always felt like I led a blessed life. That teachers would come before, for I didn't have to travel. They would come to me in some way. And how it started, I always had a fascination. I lost a twin in utero early on, and my mother was ill from the time she conceived me. And so there was always that fascination of the human body, the human experience, even in grade school, biology and how did humans tick? And when I was 21, my mother had just surpassed a 3-year, they had given her 6 months to live. And she went through a healing crisis and came out of that, as a healer in many ways, and lived for another 40 years. But that time she had to, we lived in Pennsylvania, and she needed to have a massage license in order to work as a healer. And she went and had that. And it was like a fascinating thing, because what brought me into hands-on work was that she was making $15 an hour and I was working at a department store for $4. And it was like, oh, I could use some more money. Then I could move out of the house. Then I could do this, and that. And I had so many restrictions on who I wanted to work with that she had a booming business by that time, and she gave me everybody and I fell in love with the human body. And I just wanted to know more. I wanted to know the nutrition. I went and became an Imago trained, certified therapist. I took nutritional classes. I took all the one brain kinesiology classes. I just loaded up with whatever a client needed. I wanted to know more. And so that's been a big part of my journey. And then there's lag times, where you just simulate and integrate and just keep working forward. But there's always been these places in my life that there's an integration, and then there's something else that happens and I emerge from it different.
Wow. That's amazing. It sounds very rich in so many ways, at so many levels too, because you're open. So talk to me about integration. That's something that recently I have heard about, integrating past lives in a sense of the wisdom. Is that what it is, Darlene? What we have learned in different lifetimes, and then bringing those energies to this lifetime so we can live a more fulfilling life? Is that what it is? And how is it done?
Well, so in my experience, yes, it is about integration. Some people need to go back to their lifetimes because it has an effect on this lifetime, whether it's a health issue or a pattern, a behavior, a relationship that they need to understand that is deeper than just this lifetime. So they go back and they heal it, because you can change that lifetime. You can do work around that, whether that's a visualization or a meditation, or sometimes it's ceremony, or sometimes it's writing. Whatever that is, it changes the vibration of that past life. And then others find that their past lives really had gifts. They had talents. Maybe they had healing abilities. Maybe they were a writer back in another lifetime. And so bringing that forward, it may not be the same as that lifetime, but what in your lifetime now is similar. Have you always wanted to write, but you never really thought that you could? And is there a blockage there? So what is the blockage? Where did that come from? What is the belief that's around the blockage? And then why don't you just start journaling, and let's give you some homework about certain things to journal. And it opens it up so that they integrate with the gifts or the talents that they once had.
Right. That really resonates true again to me, because I know we have enough evidence, right, to not just to believe, but to know that we have existed. We are not just, of course, I heard about new souls too, people who actually don't have lifetimes. That's the first one. I don't know if is that something that's it's accurate to say? Or
I don't know about new souls. I don't run into new souls. So maybe they exist. They just don't come into my wheelhouse. But I think that there's maybe new energies or new beings or new people that come maybe they've only been here on Earth a few times.
Yeah.
I don't see them necessarily as new souls, because they could be traveling in any other place and just not here. But this is the big deal here on Earth, is to learn as much as you can in a complex, dense place. And it's very rewarding if you navigate it in the way that gives you what you want.
Yes. I have heard that so many times. And one of the things that I that stayed with me when it comes to that is if we can live without fear, then we can tap into that fulfillment. Or maybe we can graduate faster in this plane. Is that so? So that's accurate too, right? The idea of fear, because most of us are actually mired in fear, and we are not able to be at peace with ourselves.
That's very true. Fear and anger are the biggest things that keep us distanced from our innate wisdom, that keeps us distanced from our souls, that keeps us distanced from our guidance system.
Yes.
Because we're vibrating differently, right? And if you have a lot of fear, I mean, there's so many people that have anxiety these days, and it's been accumulating for years. And breaking through that is difficult.
Right. Yes. And that's why we have so many helpers. Now the word helper came to me, maybe because I'm not using the healer word since we talked earlier. So now helper. Yes. Another question. I have way too many questions here. Is there a difference between the soul and the spirit, or it's just words?
I think it's just words. When I think about the word, it sounds like soul is more contained, right? It's more of a product, or it's more of where spirit is more of an energy. So, but I think that they are deeply related. I think they weave in and out of each other in some way, and depending on, we look at water, right? It's one substance, but it can go into ice. It can go into fog. It can go into whatever, rain, so it's that place that they weave together. They can come separate, but they weave together.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, I love hearing that, because I have been trying to find different systems, different philosophies, spiritual teachings that would match what somehow I already have it in me that knows. And then my latest has been 10 years or more now, Vedanta. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Spiritual is a Hindu spiritual philosophy based on the Upanishads and the Gita, the Bhagavad Gita. So basically, it's very simple that from their perspective, only God exists. Only, let's say, God not being a female or male, but just the divine exists. It's real. Everything else is just the dance of it. It's the sub realities, they're dream-like realities. So, but everything else returns to the divine, because it's the only, it's the existence itself is the only. Is that, you just said that in a way, the soul, the spirit, words, and it's just one and the same in a way, isn't it?
I mean, we're all one. We're just having a different experience of it, and we just don't function as we're one. We might have at some point, but not in the last thousands of years. So yes, I think we all strive for that, whether that's source or God or love or whatever that word is that resonates with us, where we want that we want that wholeness or that unification or that love that the bigger part of ourselves long for.
Yes. And maybe that's why your book, the subtitle, Earthbound, the Genesis of the Great Experiment, really kind of, it was almost like, that's it, that moment. Not an aha moment, because I have already kind of, I thought about it. But anyway, it came to me. So is this an experiment somehow, a spiritual experiment of the divine, that we just appear to be separate? And in this dream-like reality, or dream-like realities, more than one, we just kind of, we are just playing hide and seek in a way, trying to find the way back to ourselves, or seeing the divine everywhere again. Was that what it is? In simple words, of course. I know you're planning to. You wrote the first book, and you write 4 more on the topic. But I would love to hear from you a little bit more about the Great Experiment.
Well, the experiment, I think, humanity in many ways have been experimented on. I believe that we come into this as incarnated as humans to join that place of having all the emotions that we can have and having all the choices that we're designed to have. And what do we do with that? So it is a great experiment because you can create a timeline. You can come in and say, this is my trajectory. And then you make one choice and it leads you in another direction. And then do you come back into where your original purpose was, or your original mission, or your desire, your intention, or do you stay split off from that? And we're always learning something, no matter what happens in our lives of what we choose. But that feels like it is all heading towards the same place, and it is an experiment. The book is about, that first book is about the history of the ancient humanity and Earth's evolution, and coming into a place of deeper understanding of who we are as our design in being human, with all the possibilities, and the choices that we make, and where does it lead us to this timeline that we're living in now, which is chaos and division and anger and hatred. And, we really did it to ourselves. So what are we going to do about it?
Wow. Yeah. Yes, we did it to ourselves. Right. That's one that's, it's almost like not easy to hear even. Did I do this to myself? But yes, right. And then it goes back to lifetimes. In Hinduism, Vedanta, they really talk about karma a lot. In Hinduism too, as you know. So that makes a lot of sense. So we're just kind of going, ripping what we have, what we just kind of, yeah, that's a tough one, because perhaps because of my this space where I'm always kind of dwelling in with freedom. So it's almost like this has not been created yet, and that's not really, because it's an experiment. It's a dream reality. So it's not really fully real, but at the same time, it is, while we're here in bodies, right? And waking up every day in the body. Yeah, yeah.
It's also about accountability,
Yeah.
If we can be accountable for what even if it's a small percentage. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it doesn't, I don't believe right and wrong, good or bad. It's all choice, but we can have that place of accountability of what we can accept about what we chose in some moment in our life that took us there. And that's not to have guilt and shame. That's just being accountable. Yes, like I created that. So I created it. Yes. Did it hurt people? Yes. Am I sorry for that? Yes. Am I going to do something about it? Yes. Right?
Yes.
And then you move on from that and you learn from it, and hopefully you never do it again. But it's the accountability when you walk around without feeling or accepting that you've been accountable for anything. You're kind of walking in limbo.
Yes. Yeah. That also resonates true, right? Taking responsibility, which in the Gita, they talk about duty, the sense of duty, like the battle, with Arjuna and then Krishna, and then he's just going through this very conflicted ideas of being a warrior and at the same time trying to be a spiritual being. So how do we do that? That to me is just kind of speaking for us, humanity. How do we fight that fight of still doing what we have to do, knowing that we are unlimited, that we are infinite, and at the same time, kind of embody the duties that we have chosen, as you said. Even in being a female body, a male body, we have different duties, right? Responsibilities, just by being in the kind of bodies that we are. So the soul, it's something that has also chosen that, Darlene, to be. That's the reason why we are here in bodies and on earth because of this aspect of being called the soul with a purpose in mission, or it's just uh, again divine design, God's dreaming, and then everything is possible. I often wonder.
Yeah, well, we come in for many reasons. This is the greatest playing field that is my understanding in the cosmos. And so we come in to experience that and share that with each other. And also it's part of, as an artist, I can understand getting bored. So why wouldn't the creator or God or, the universe in some way want to experience all there could be had? Whether it's in a human body, male or female, or it's in a total other body, why wouldn't creation just want to create or co-create? That's one of the biggest things that humans do, is they have the ability to create. Many other animals or, inhabitants of Earth don't necessarily have a consciousness of creating. They may have habit or they may have instinct, but we are more of the creative ability, and accepting that is really important on the soul level. Accepting, because then you can create whatever you put your intention to, as long as you believe it. You have to align with it to know that it can be true, that it will be true. Tapping into our will space, that this is, whether that's through visualization or however that works for individuals, to just create the future of what you want in your life without any tugging at you, anything tethering you to the, I'm not good enough, it's not going to work, God doesn't love me, I failed. All that stuff pulls us back into not being whole and not moving in a way that supports where humanity is intending to evolve in a much bigger way.
Yes. Wow. It's fascinating how it goes back to the self, in a sense, right? Of feeling that we are worthy, that we are divine, basically fully human, fully divine. Yeah.
It's interesting. I just want to mention, this next year in the work that I do and in the group that I run, guidance is really focusing on, like, this is our time as women, not to do what we've always done. They want to bring in the divine feminine, and they want to bring in the divine feminine so that the divine masculine can come also. It's not a either or, and it's not a inequality issue. But what is the divine feminine? It's like, we need to look at that and embrace that, because it's not what we're living.
So how would you describe that, Darlene? The divine feminine?
The divine feminine, I believe, has the ability. So we're the creators in a different way than men. But the divine feminine stands for their sovereignty. It speaks the truth. It holds on to, the potential of what can be created and co-created. It has stamina. It has resilience. It's that, when you think of the divine feminine, at least for me, that my posture changes. It feels like I get straighter. It feels like I pull the shoulders down. It feels like my head comes, it's like so much energy of what does that mean? And when we can't embody that, who are we? What energy are we then holding? Right. Depletion and less than, and, even some of the aspects of the not the benevolent man, in those aspects, we have come forward with that, but it's not working.
Right. It hasn't been. Yes. Do you see that as a vision for the next few years? I'm kind of almost like rushing that that vision. But do you have this as a vision with the within the work that you're doing, that perhaps the next 5, 10, maybe not even thinking timing, but do you see this happening on Earth? the divine feminine.
Eventually, but there's no, time is linear to us. And so we only have a limited time here. But
Right.
I believe that it's cosmically, it's coming forward. The light is coming forward. We're getting more opportunities. And because Earth is evolving so much, it's like we're coming to that gauntlet that we need to go through, the eye of the needle that we need to go through. And so, yes, there's more groups that are holding or wanting, intending to hold this divine feminine energy and what that means, and have discussions about that and become it. Because once you embody it in some way, because we're only human, right? So embodying the divine feminine at the level that it is the divine feminine may not happen in this lifetime because we're not capable of that much energy.
Mm.
If we hold it and we aspire to it and we inspire others, then our energy enters us and it's a ripple effect. It becomes more of what happens on the planet, because there's not just a small group doing it. There's thousands of groups doing it. There's an intention, both with men and women. It's not just contained with women doing it. It feels like men are aligning with it too.
Right.
And why? Because it's imbalanced. It has been imbalanced for thousands of years.
Right.
And the men, there's nothing to blame with the men. They've had a really hard time in doing this. And some of them really don't want to be doing what they've been trained to do, what they've been programmed to do. So it's a win-win for both. And we have both within us. So, we have the masculine and the feminine within us. It's what do we want to do with it? How do we bring it to be more compatible and utilized?
Yes. Yeah. I love that. The idea of win-win. And then I usually add another one, win-win-win. Like here, you and I, and then humanity, always passing that on. So it's beneficial to everyone. So everyone wins. That's what love does, right? It comes to me all the time it's a very simple practice, message, it's the embodiment, even love. And it doesn't have to be in the form of miracles, I guess. It could be, right, Darlene? But it's so simple to love oneself in a sense of self-compassion, feeling gratitude for being here, in this spaceless, timeless here. And then kind of expanding those feelings, those energies to people around us, and then little by. It feels like it's so simple, but it's so powerful at the same time. There's nothing as powerful as that. But at the same time, it's so simple. And I'm wondering if the mind has been getting in the way. The mind has been the tool of navigation of this reality, and perhaps we just kind of confused the mind with what we are. And then and that's what I heard before. Is that something that you heard too that resonates?
Yeah, we have the monkey mind, right? That judges and criticizes ourselves and others, and what we're going to do the next day, but not really who we are the next day. Who do we want to be the next day? And that gratitude piece is really the first place for people that want to be more loving.
Yeah.
It's a first step towards allowing love. If you can look around at the end of the day and be grateful for three things, even in relationships, that are having power struggles.
Yeah.
At the end of the day is to be in gratitude for your partner for three things that day. It changes the vibration of the person. It changes their beliefs about the other person. It changes how they feel and their energy.
Yes, I just made a mental note here. Three things. Yeah, I love that. Yes. And that goes back to trauma, right? It has been my case. I've been through so much trauma in childhood, and then also in relationships. And that's interesting how they kind of almost run in the background. And then if we are not really aware and in present,
Mhm.
those energies would just take over and become very negative. So yes, I love this. This is a practice every day doing that. And for some reason, because I'm always asking for guidance I always ask for truth. And then because truth is love, it keeps
Mhm.
coming back as a message. All you have to do is to love and then return to love. And that includes all of that greatness. Yeah. Joy, gratitude, of course, joy, and that sense of inner peace. So it's incredible how we hear that over and over again. It became almost like what do you call those things that's over marketed? I forgot the name. There's a name that we say here in English. A cliche that everybody says. Life is
Mhm.
love, and everything's about love, love and light, and all those things. But it's real. Actually, to me, that's the only thing. If there is a thing, a sense of energy,
Mhm.
feels like a thing that is real. That there's nothing else that's real. Only love is real. Actually, that's how I usually. That's my mantra. If
Mhm.
it's not love, it's not real.
Mhm. And there's different ways and forms of loving, and some people don't even
Mm.
know
Yeah.
they can use the word, but it may not be truly that. It's a
Mm.
whole other energy. It's light, it's love, it's a higher vibration. It's when you look around, you just see things, you perceive things as
Mm.
entirely different than really what's in front of you, because you can understand something that might be happening that others can't,
Mm.
because that's love. And I'm a
Yeah.
great fan of Ho'oponopono
Ah. Yeah.
as a process, as a
Yeah.
journal for people that have had trauma,
Yes.
to go back to their wherever the wounded was, 2 years old, infancy, 10, whatever happened in that trauma, is to connect to that at the age that you are now, and go back and talk to that child or that young man or young woman, and do the I'm sorry that this happened to you, because
Mm.
those parts of ourselves get stuck.
Yeah.
And then we make choices based on their stuckness.
Mm.
But if they're included and brought forward and loved in the
Mm.
Ho'opono, because you're now being accountable, and you're now being honest with that part of yourself, that they really are seen and heard,
Yes.
it changes your choices in the present day.
Mm. Gosh, yeah. Thank you for saying that. It's yeah, it's almost like you're reading not my mind but my heart. So
Hmm.
that has been a very because I always ask for, again, not for things. I ask for guidance in the sense of truth. Show me the truth, and
Hmm.
that comes to me a lot of times when and spontaneously. I
Hmm.
start doing that, thank you, I'm sorry. And then images of myself when I was little, let's say 5 years old, seven, and then a teenager struggling. So
Hmm.
sending love. That's so interesting how the truth behind the interconnectedness of everything. And because my interest is truth, it keeps coming back to me in that sense. Everything is God, everything is love. So
Hmm.
everything's the divine, basically everything is one again, that message. So it's easy to be connected to it whenever. It's always here too, accessible. So whenever we wanted to, if we want to heal, if you want to grow, whatever it is, it's always there. It's just amazing how the truth behind that, it's always here if we just give it a chance.
And
Right.
remember,
I remember.
that it's there. We
Yes.
get so absorbed in our anxiety and our worry and what's going to happen tomorrow and what
Mm,
has happened and where are we going. And
yeah.
we don't necessarily stay present. Like you mentioned in the beginning, of your goal is to stay present. And if you stay
Yes.
present, then hopefully we can think more clear,
Yes.
to know
Yeah.
that we can have gratitude and that we can have love and that we can bring something forward. I think that's why meditation works so
Mm,
well,
yeah.
is because you're trying to calm that monkey mind. And then
Yes.
when you can get it calm, it is about doing exactly what you said, asking.
Yeah.
Show me. Show me what I need to do next. Show me something that I don't know.
Right.
And then watch what comes in, whether that's synchronicity in your life in the next 2 days, or if that's a vision that comes in, an object that comes in, or a felt sense in your body, or maybe even words in your ear. Like, you're opening up the aspect of yourself to receive something from spirit, from your guidance system that would be helpful.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. So everyone listening, yes, that's it. And it's that simple. Ask for help. Yes. And then if we can't really, some people need external, let's say, confirmation. I noticed that too. Like in my case, I usually like having people to confirm what I have, the information I have received. So,
Right.
and that's really amazing too, to see the alignment, like, that's it. How amazing. So you are connected, not because you're connected with what I am connected, because we are fundamentally already connected. We were never disconnected in the first place. We're never separate.
And it teaches us trust, trust ourselves, because that is huge. We need to trust ourselves so that we regain and continue with sovereignty, our independence and our sovereignty and our truth and our choices, to hold that within ourselves. We have to trust ourselves. Many people don't. They would put their trust in someone else. And then you're not holding your sovereignty.
Right. And that's interesting that you use that word too. I've been working with somebody from Australia. That's Adrian, and that's his message. He has written books about it, and we have been doing a lot of work together. And I mean, he just swears by it without swearing. So his whole life has been about sovereignty. Yeah, like almost standing tall in your truth. In truth, really, it's not really ours, right? It's everyone's truth. Yes, having the courage to do that.
Right. And if you look at the soul's journey, I think that is maybe the place of each mission of ours, is to, how do we experience so many different things on this planet with where we're born, in our culture and our history and our genetics, and still hold our sovereignty? Because that sovereignty is connected to God or to love. That's what's connected. And so if we can manage to come through 100 years of being on this planet individually and navigating life and holding our sovereignty to the best that we can, then we're a leg up on what's next.
Yes. That's the mission, right? You're saying of the soul. That's interesting to hear that again. So thank you for the confirmation again, because I have been asking about the soul a lot lately. So that's what it is. Yeah, to stand in truth, right? Regardless. Yeah. So, gosh, we're almost at the end. I could talk to you forever, for eons, that's for sure. I would love to be in touch again. I had a question for you. I had so many questions, but because of this time here. So when you meet people, they are looking for a lifetime that it's hindering, it's creating this obstacle that they can't see. How is that done? Like, because some of us have lived many lifetimes. So how do you find that lifetime that's hindering this one?
So people will usually come to me with anything from career, relationships, money issues, patterns that they already know, family issues. It really doesn't matter. So we start whatever feels like it's the priority. And sometimes it doesn't go into a past life. If that's their intention, then I look for it. But how I work in with my guidance system, and I connect to their guidance system and their innate wisdom that knows everything within their physical form, is that I track it, because a timeline or a lifetime, a past life, will not show up unless you already have a thread in this lifetime. It doesn't just pop up out of the blue.
Right.
So you track it back to when was the cause in this lifetime, And we talk about that. We figure out, is there any healing that needs to be done, anything that needs, and if it traces back, if it tracks back to a past life, I get the images of what it was. It's like, oh, you were a female and there was this time. And yes, your brother that was there was this, and you were on the battlefield, and whatever comes in. And I would say 99.9%, it makes sense to them. But if and we work through that, like, what is that? Because they'll start to get more vibratory information. It's like speaking to the truth to them about something that they know deeply, but they may not know consciously.
Right.
So they resonate with that. We move through it. We talk about, is there homework? Is there anything with that? So that they can heal that. So the pattern or the information or the issue that they have brought in changes in the present day.
Right. Yeah. That also resonates, the whole process. So sometimes you don't have to go to a lifetime yet.
No, if their belief system doesn't match that. I mean, there's a lot of people that belief system, their innate wisdom won't go there.
Yeah. Yes.
It'll end at conception here. And that we don't even talk about past lives or incarnation or anything, because it's not pertinent to what they're bringing in, and they don't have a belief system that supports it.
Right. Yes. And that's important for that alignment that you spoke, integration alignment. Yeah. That makes so much sense. Wow. It's very clear to me. I love what you do. I mean, what's not to love about this work? It's just so beautiful in so many ways. Thank you so much, Darlene, for being you, standing in your truth in the way you do. It's just so graceful too. The energies that come, I mean, I'm very sensitive to energies. So it's grace. It's really what it is. Yeah. When just kind of reading the energies. It's beautiful.
Really. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed the conversation, and I always learn things new about myself and others too with the questions. So we're good.
I love that too, being open to be a teacher and a student. That's part of wisdom. Beautiful. So I want to mention your services, personal one-on-one phone sessions, Cosmic Traveler Creators, the podcast that you host with Kay Melissa Waterman. Yes. And you also have the community. I love the name I mentioned before, SoulUnion Community. That's coming soon. Did I miss anything, Darlene, about your services? In your book that's coming up next year.
In the book, The Cosmic Travelers is once a month. It's the third Sunday of the month. It's from 2 to 3:30 on the Sunday afternoon PM in Eastern Standard Time. And that is on the website if you're curious about it. We work on the multidimensional level, do some healing in that, as well as we do timelines for Earth and whatever shows up.
Wonderful. So that's everything is on your website. So it's soulunion.com. And I'll have that clickable here on the podcast notes. Thank you so much again for your graceful presence, and we'll meet again. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Darlene Van de Grift and her work, please visit SoulUnion.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.